What is up, everyone? Thank you so much for joining us for this awesome session on go-to-market engineering and AI operations for modern go-to-market teams. We are all aware of the impact that AI has had on the planet for sure, but specifically go-to-market and within B2B. Today, I'm joined by my friends and just awesome experts, Koka Sexton. Koka, you're the OG in social selling and LinkedIn usage, and I mean, you've just really paved the way for what we're doing right now. So really appreciate you diving in, and now you're diving in and paving the way around AI agents and how to truly deploy these agentic experiences. Brandon Redlinger, thank you so much for hopping on. We met many years ago. You were an early thought leader and growth expert within the sales tech space, and since then, I think that's been what 10, 15 years, something crazy like that.
Yeah,
Thanks so
I
much.
think 2015. Yeah, exactly.
Right? It's been
Yeah.
a long ride. So for the folks out there, so this session is going to focus on teaching you not just theory, not just thought leadership about, this movement around AI agents and actually operationalizing this, but we're going to get our hands dirty and really dig in here. So we're going to kick it off with Brandon really diving into Clay, right? He's going to talk about how to turn close one deals into an ABM dossier for reps, right? Then Koka's going to dive into lead enrichment automation using make.com. And we have some other use cases which we'll dive into here depending on how kind of this session goes. Real quick for the folks out there, go ahead and comment, add feedback in the comments. You're probably watching this on LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook. Yes, I added Facebook just in
There
case
we go.
folks are cruising on Facebook here today. But Brandon, let's go ahead and dive in.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, this is gonna be a lot of fun. As you mentioned, you and I go way back, but I also probably around the same time I met you, Koka, too. Like, right? Probably around 2015, 16, something like that.
Yeah, that
So,
was the same.
yeah, kind of a reunion. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
And look at the way that the space has really emerged, right? I mean, it is absolutely incredible
Yeah.
what the sales tech space has done, right? Over, or let's say, the last decade, right? And being able to actually have go to market folks leverage the power of AI, I think gives us an opportunity to finally deliver against the magic that we've been wanting to see. So anyways, we're going to speaking of magic, we'll dive into some of the magic here. Take it away, Brandon.
Okay, cool. So yeah, here's the first one that I wanted to show. And yeah, again, high level. So what we're doing here, so this is inside of Clay, and this is a workbook. And if people are not that familiar with Clay or maybe have heard of Clay, it really is a GTM engineering tool out there. Yes, it is a little bit more complex, a steeper learning curve, and it takes a bit more to learn the workings. And the other thing I really like about Clay is, I mean, they're always evolving. The product is, I mean, they're always coming out with new features, new functionality, new integrations. So even someone who has learned it is still like trying to keep up and making sure that I don't get behind. But here's one of the most, I would say, valuable workbooks that I've built for my clients. And I'll give you all the template too, so that you could just download this right into your own Clay instance if you have your own instance of Clay. If you don't have your own instance of Clay, I mean, I'm happy to drop in my referral code so you all get an extra, I think it's 2,000 credits to use to play around with. But okay, really quick. So here's what it looks like. We start with a closed one customer here. And the idea is, let's find more customers like these. And I just put Carta here just because they were kind of top of mind for me. And what I'm doing here is, let me look at lookalike companies that look like Carta, but and I'm using the Ocean.io integration here. I think it's the best one for this use case. But then I can also say things like, let's make sure that they look like Carta, but they're in the US. And the company size is between these ranges, because that's our ICP, with these certain keywords in these industries. So you really can get pretty granular with the lookalike companies that it's going to find for you. So in this case, it came up with 4 companies that look like Carta that match all of my criteria here. So then what I want to do here is, okay, let's actually write this to a new table. And then it puts it all into this table here. And then here's, again, that the original company that it's looking for. And then the new company, the new domain. And these are all kind of the standard things that you can add based off of the enrichment that Clay will initially do. And then from here, what I need to do is let's actually find the people at those companies that I want to reach out to. So you'll also need to write that to a new table. And here, what I'm doing, again, you can get pretty granular with what that actually looks like. So if we go over here real quick, I'm saying, look at those companies and then find the VP of sales or the VP of chief revenue officer, CRO, exclude any titles that include things like advisor, member, executive assistant, that sort of thing, just to make sure I'm getting, again, the right people. And then you can add within the sales function or, again, location. So you can get, again, pretty granular with the type of people that you want. And just for this example, I just said, give me 1 per company and max 10. And then, of course, this might differ for you. So if you're going after individual sales reps, you might have hundreds of reps or CSMs or whatever it is. And this is just a way to, again, help your credit usage. So one thing that is a little bit tricky with Clay is you are on a credit system and you can blow through your credits really quickly if you're not careful. So this is what I'm doing right now, just to kind of limit my credit usage for the purpose of this demo. But again, whatever makes the most sense for you. And then what it does from there is finds the CROs of these, or the heads of sales at those 4 companies. In this case, it only found 2 of them, but I want to start enriching this profile so I can get all the information that a rep would need to reach out to this person. So yeah, their LinkedIn, their emails, that sort of thing. And then I'm using AI on top of this to look at certain things. Again, these are all things that a rep would want to know when they're reaching out to this CRO to start their conversation. So I'm looking at the top 3 competitors. I'm looking at website or highlights in general. So have they released new products recently? Have they made any new announcements? Have they made any new recent key hires? That sort of thing. And I also want to know how much funding they've had in total, because I think funding is one of those popular things that, again, people want to know to go after the right company. They don't have, they, as in Clay, doesn't have a native Crunchbase integration anymore, but you still can go use the Clayagent to go scrape Crunchbase and get that information and pull it into your table here. And then what I'm doing here is, okay, I want to look at the team size, again, using AI to say, oh, actually, yeah, here's what I really want. So this is specifically for this company that I built it for, but they really care about how many open sales roles do you have. So I'm using AI to go look at their job boards and their job openings and say, how many open sales roles do they have? Because it's a really good indication for this company that they're the perfect account to go after. So I'm doing, just to give you a good sense, like there's a lot that I can do with AI to pull in the right information into my table here. That's going to be, again, really relevant for me and for my use case. And then I am saying here, so far as the company that I built this for, now take all of that information that you know about that person in that company and write a relevant value proposition with AI. And then I'm going to give you all of our case studies. Find the most relevant case study to this company. And all of that now gets put into this dossier or this account plan, whatever you want to call it. And then I'll show you exactly what that looks like. So all of this is automatically done, automatically pulled in without me having to do any work. So this is all the research that we did. And again, if you do other research, use other automations, anything else, you can pull that into this dossier, for lack of a better term. And then what I did is I set it up to send that document directly over to Slack, so that now all the reps have to do is they have a close one account. Oh, and then now I have a handful of new accounts that I can go after, and I've got all the relevant information that I need to now start to reach out to those accounts. Now, you could even take it one step further and use their native sequencing tool and start to send those automated emails using AI, using some of these snippets. I'll go over that in one of my next examples on how to actually use the native sequencing and some of the AI to write emails. But in this particular case, I just want to take that document, I want to fill it out, and I want to send it over to Slack so that rep has that dossier right there in Slack ready for them. All right, so that was my first Clay table. Any questions? Anything else I can answer?
Yeah, for the folks out there, don't forget to add your questions, comments, feedback. This is completely live right now, right? So this is your chance to get your questions answered. If you're watching this in a replay after, just go ahead and tag Brandon or Koka or myself, even though they're the experts here. I'm learning just like y'all, and we'll get your questions or feedback addressed. So Koka, why don't you take us over? I know we're going to dive into using make.com for lead enrichment automation, and you've been just doing like a ton of stuff here, which is absolutely incredible. We really appreciate you diving into this right now, and take it away, Koka.
Awesome. All right. Clay is super impressive. What I've built is a poor man's Clay. And what this will basically do is go off and find all the data that you're looking for, but I'm using make.com for the automation. So this is what the blueprint looks like. And I'll just kind of highlight what it's going to be doing. It's going to look at a spreadsheet, a Google sheet. It's going to find a bunch of contacts. It's going to then structure the data, segment it, and then dump it back into my spreadsheet. So this is a way of using Google Sheets to basically find the information. The use case that kind of led me down the path of building this was there are lots of companies that are doing a lot of physical events now. They're traveling all over the United States, all over the world. And a lot of these events will basically precede the sponsors with a list of companies and titles. Hey, you want to spend $1,000 at our booth here because we're going to have the CMO of Coca-Cola or the CRO of this company or whatever it is. That's how they're trying to entice these sponsors. And so what companies want is, how do I take that list of companies and the titles of the people are going to be there, and how do I get their contact information so I can email them prior to the event? And so that was the problem set that I was given. I have companies and I have titles, but I have no idea who these people are. And I need to find the ways to build the contacts. So with this raw information and this blueprint, when I run it, what it's going to do is it's going to start going off and finding all of the contacts related to these contacts, these rows inside of the spreadsheet. And it takes a couple of minutes. It's not super fast, but what it will do is it scans LinkedIn and a few other sources through an API call. It sleeps for a second because it needs to let everything run in the background to collect the data. And then it's going to structure the data, and then it's going to segment it out and dump it back into the sheet. These automations, again, this use case was for marketers who are doing events. But in reality, if you are running an ABM campaign, if there's targeted accounts you're trying to go after, and you don't have access to a Clay or one of these other data providers, and you don't want to do the manual work, which is what I was having to do, of going into LinkedIn one by one and looking for these individuals by name, building a system that allows me to basically set it up, hit run, go get my coffee, go hang out and do whatever. And then when I come back, I should have a spreadsheet that's doing it. And so, for example, it's already pulling one. It's now working on the second one. And so it's going to go through each of these contacts using the domain. It's going to find the titles. And when I go into the Found tab, I should start seeing the information popping up.
This is also way better than paying ZoomInfo thousands of dollars to do this too, right? Because that was the other alternative. Or it's like you can pay the event hosts extra for the full list, right? They're never going to make it easy. Why don't they just make it
No.
easy for us, Koka?
So you'll see, like, here's the bundles that are coming in. This is how it's running through it. It's going off and finding whatever information it can on the role itself. It's just using code JSON in the background. I was never much of I was always very nerdy, but this entire automation AI evolution that's happening has made me much more nerdy. And so if I go back to the spreadsheet and I go to found, I should see contacts. And of course, this is a demo. So why would it actually work for me while I'm on the demo?
Exactly. Right.
Koka, you are the coolest, nerdiest, go-to-market sales marketing expert that I know. You're like so cool. You look cool, and then you're like, oh yeah, but you're a nerd too.
So basically, yeah, this thing's going to run and it's going to find the contacts that are available on the system. If it doesn't find it, I can run it again and again, and it'll just keep polling to find these contacts. And it should go through this entire list to pull the information. And that's the automation. It really just looks at a spreadsheet, goes, finds API calls, segments all the data, and then starts adding it back to the sheets. And that's
awesome.
The automation with all those multiple use cases that you could use this for.
Awesome. And with Make, you can just go to make.com. I think it's largely PLG. I know Clay's, has a
yeah, make.com has been my default. Outside of like the N8Ns and everything else, like people use Zapier a lot, but like Zapier, it does a lot of basic stuff, I think. Make is extremely flexible. N8N is almost on another level. Yeah. So I've just kind of rested on Make because it has access to whatever tools I want. And so as it's running through this, if I want to swap something out, if I want to add an AI element to scan the data more, all I need to do is go in here and just start adding whatever those kind of modules are within this. So Make has been my kind of go-to automation tool to build out all of these tools.
Awesome. Yeah. And that's what I've been hearing too, that N8N, and I know there's a couple other ones are a little more technical, right? A little more sort of developer friendly, and, Make allows you to kind of dive in pretty deeply without having that, too technical of a background. Zapier found the same thing, like pretty basic stuff, pretty easy to do. But
Zapier is really good if I'm just moving data from point A to point B. Or if, with the adoption of AI, if I want to take data and do a quick, ChatGPT like prompt on it or something, then having an output. My issues with Zapier usually break down when I start having 3 or 4 different operations within it. Some of my automation stack, the one that I'll show next, is much longer. And then I have some blueprints that you have to like zoom out so far in order to get it all in there, because there's so many things that could be happening or are happening in it. So yeah, I've just kind of rested on Make. It's my go-to automation.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Make too. At one point I was like, okay, I really got to learn N8N. Everyone's talking about N8N. I need to learn N8N. And I jumped into it for a few weeks and I was like, shit, I'm really not getting anywhere. Like I can build some cool little things like a random ass chat bot or something like that. And then I went over to Make and I was like, okay, this is actually a little bit more intuitive. I can actually build things that I want to build as a marketer. And I really like Make's, what do they call it, university, or like they have a lot of education to help you get started. So
yeah, they have a very large community.
Yeah,
and I mean,
community. Yeah,
I'm nerdy, but I don't really think of myself as that nerdy. But like, there's enough YouTube videos out there, and I taught myself how to do all of this. I got a master's degree in make.com on YouTube because there's so many other people out there that have already done really cool things. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if I could use that for marketing. And then I build it myself, and then I deploy it.
There you go.
Yeah, I think Make's been around for a while, and they've just kind of leaned into this latest crave of around AI and real adoption. So, pretty awesome. And again, Koka, you're my boy. I love you. But how nerdy could you be with a name called Koka Sexton? I always think of Wyatt Earp and like, the old Western Clint Eastwood, right? So
Heck yeah.
I'll be your Huckleberry. It's a great movie.
Totally. Awesome. All right, Brandon, you're up here. I know we're going to dive into your next Clay table, which is all about turning website visitors into pipeline.
Yes. Okay, cool. So, okay. Clay recently, maybe not recently anymore, probably a few months ago at this point, came out with web intent. So you can put a pixel on your website which is what this initial part is. So you have to set this part up in the beginning, but pretty easy. You just go over to your name, and then you go to settings, and then settings, you click on web intent, and then you got to actually set up this in the first place. So ask your developer to add this script to the website, or you can just use Tag Manager to do it. Either way, you need this on your website to start actually collecting these visitors, to de-anonymize them. Or it de-anonymizes the company. Again, then you got to find the people, then you got to do the outreach. But this initial step here, let's actually set this up in the beginning. So I'm just using their recommended de-anonymization providers, but you could come over here and go to custom, and you can say, like, I want to use Demandbase and Clearbit and people, and then you can also kind of move them around. But again, I just use the standard one right out of the box that they recommend. And then here we're also adding some additional filters on top of this. So for this company, again, I'm doing a lot of work with Avara. We're only selling US and Canada right now. So let's set that to US and Canada. And then this is looking at the specific pages that people are landing on that we care about, that we want to start to de-anonymize this traffic. And you can set up multiple of these as well. So you can set up one that looks at just your product pages, or if you have a more PLG motion, the actual in-app pages, that sort of thing. But like request a demo, see it in action, success stories, you can use also the wildcard here. So anything that would follow /blog would apply here too. So that's what the */wildcard is. And then exclude people from who landed on the careers page, because those are people who probably are trying to get a job at your company, right? So right now I just disabled this one, but I did run it to show you guys what this exactly looks like. So you would go through this, and then you would hit create new table. And then this is the table that I built on this. So that was this step here. And then it takes all that and then writes it to this new table here. And again, I'll give you guys the template if you just want to import this into your own instance. The only thing that you need to know is you got to do that first step, and then make sure that the source of this table is this the web intent that you just built over here. Okay, so with that said, let's just jump into here. So it gives me unique, the actual pages that they land on, the session count, and then the company. And then now I need to enrich the company. And again, one of the things that Clay is really good at is enriching with data. So I'm looking at, okay, what's the company? I actually already have the domain, but employee size, where's their headquarters? Because that'll help me on my actual distribution of leads. What's their annual revenue? What industry are they in? And then here I built some scoring. And I just you just go down to use AI, and then I just put this in. So use, I mean, feel free to, I'll drop this link in as well if you want to just copy this and then kind of adjust your scoring here. You could also do something like, if they land on a product page, it's a little bit more to their score. So I'm just doing a little bit of lead scoring here, or sorry, account scoring here, just to give me a little bit more signal who I should be reaching out to right now. So again, it's like, okay, the employee size, the revenue, those all matter a little bit differently depending on the answer to those questions. All right. And then what I'm going to do, again, I still have to actually find the people that I'm reaching out to. So again, we're going to do that people search. We're going to find people. Again, we're looking at heads of sales here and CROs. And then for those companies, this is what it returned. And then I want their name, their job title, where they are located. So this is going to be looking at their own personal LinkedIn. So they might be headquartered in one state, but their location might be somewhere else. And that depends on how you break up your own territories. It'll matter, or it might not matter. Or maybe you do territories by industry instead. Again, that'll all determine the information that you're going to be pulling into here. And then what I'm doing here is I'm actually looking up the lead score from this other table that I built over here. So yeah, again, I built the lead score here. I want to write that same data to this table. But why you see a few blanks here is I said only write, over here, I said only write the information over to this if the industry is software, and they visited more than one page in the last, I forget exactly what I put in the last week, I think, and they have over 100 employees. So if all of that criteria is hit, then you write the lead score over here. And then from here, again, we want to reach out to these people. That's the ultimate goal here. So let's start to enrich. I find their work email. And then now I'm starting to use AI to generate some emails. So in this case, I'm using the Octave integration. I really like this Octave integration. There's some other ways to do that too, which I'll show you in just a second. But Octave will help you write these cold emails, and you go through this and you say, okay, the length, I want it to be short. This is a cold email. The goal is to schedule a meeting. Here's an example of what a good first email looks like. Here's an example of what the last email looks like. And then we can also do some other things like system instructions. I'm sure a lot of people these days have seen the prompt that's going around by Sabrina Romanov, where it helps you write, helps AI write content that sounds like a human instead of sounds like AI. So I just pasted that right into here, and then some other things too that it will need in order to write a good cold outreach email, as the company and some of the value propositions, differentiators, customer success stories. I mean, you should hopefully have all this, or go to your product marketing team and get all of this. And you put it into here, and then it's going to spit out a subject line for email one, a body for email one. And of course, you can click into this and read it too. But I'll show you what we're going to do with it in just a sec. And then a subject line for email two and a body for email two. And then now what I want to do is actually do the outreach. So I'm taking the people who met this criteria. In this case, it's only Emily that I want to reach out to. And I'm going to actually use Clay's native sequencing tool, which is actually just Smart Lead. And then we're going to create this new campaign. So for Emily, this is what the Clay sequencer looks like. So we're looking at a 3-step email here. So the opening email. And for this opening email, all I'm doing is I'm taking what Octave created in the subject line 1 column in this over here and inputting it here. And then I'm taking what it created in the column for email body 1, and you can preview it over here. And then email 2, and then same thing with email 2, and then email 3. I'm actually going to use AI in the native sequencing tool itself to create this email. So I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm saying hi first name, and it's using spin tag. So one might say hi, the next might say hello, the next might say hey. So yeah, you get the idea. Just for email deliverability purposes. And then my first line here, I'm using AI, and I'm saying, hey, look at the job title and look at outcomes that are relevant. And here's some other information for the system prompt in order for you to write an actual relevant first paragraph, or paragraph for this email. And then I'm doing the same thing here for a value prop. So I'm giving it a prompt, having it look at information from my previous tables and write a relevant value prop. And then same with a call to action. And then this is just my own sender name here. And then once I save that, I can actually start to send these personalized emails at scale, which previously wasn't possible with AI. And as you can see here, it does a relatively good job of actually creating a good, relevant, personalized email using AI. So that's how you take web intent and then turn that into actual pipeline with the cold outreach. Now, the only thing I would say here is you'll notice I'm not saying, hey, George, I noticed that you were on our website. That seems a little bit, stalkerish or a little bit creepy. I'm actually really just trying to say, right, you were on these pages. That means you probably care about this thing. Let me write an email specifically talking to this pain or this thing that you're trying to solve because you are on those pages. All right, that's this workflow. Again, I'll drop the template so you can import this into your own Clay instance, and you can have fun with it. See what you can do, and hopefully make your sales team happy.
Awesome. Brandon, thank you so much for walking through these to Clay tables. Folks, go ahead and follow Brandon. Click on the follow button, and he's sharing content all the time. I'm learning all the time, so really appreciate it. Just a plethora of information. And one of the things about Brandon I think is unique and very similar to Koka as well is that they understand both sides, right? Like you've been a sales rep before, you understand that, and now you've been a marketer and a growth leader for the last couple years as well. And so I think that's huge especially for this world now where we've been talking about schmarketing, right? Coca, I don't know how long, right? That's been a term out there.
I think didn't HubSpot coin that? Like that was like the term that they had when they were trying to build their CRM, smarketing.
Marketing, right? Yeah. Shout out to Mark Roberge, a good friend.
Yeah, there you go.
I know was actually like launched a lot of those products. But we've been talking about marketing, but now we're like really like the distinction or the line between sales and marketing is thinner than ever, especially now with agents being able to kind of orchestrate this stuff in a programmatic or in an automated way. So huge fans of two of these experts here. Definitely follow them and their friends. So I hate to speak to it like I don't know you guys, but definitely follow Brandon. Definitely follow Koka. You're gonna go ahead and kind of close us out with using
real quick.
Yeah.
Is it do I just put that in the chat here in StreamYard and then it'll go into the live feeds?
Well, go ahead and you actually want to put it on the. Okay. I think StreamYard's giving us some issues with pulling in information. So what you want to do is go ahead and go to the comments section where everyone's tuned in, and go ahead and put that link in there. So it's externally facing. If you want, go ahead and send it to me, and I'll make sure that I put it on that feed as well. So. Yeah, let me know if that's helpful.
Here you are telling everyone how smart I am, and I can't even figure out how to leave a dumb comment.
Well, actually, you know what? It's not your fault here because the comments are supposed to come in. Thank you so much to the folks commenting or saying that this is hugely valuable. Thank you. They're not coming in. Shame. A wrist slap here to StreamYard, which is the platform we're using. I love StreamYard. It's great, but it doesn't look like the API is hitting on all cylinders here today. So not you there.
All right, cool. Yeah, we'll make sure to get everyone those all of the links.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, we're going to be taken home here by Koka diving into how to use make.com to export LinkedIn posts. And Koka, I know this is obvious to us, but maybe you can speak to why this is so powerful real quick to folks out there who are maybe getting into LinkedIn and starting to explore the power of this wonderful platform.
Yeah, I mean, the use case was extremely selfish at first until I shared it with a few people and they were like, wait, you can do what? And I was like, oh, that's actually interesting to you? And they were like, can you show me how you do that? And then I showed them, they're like, there's a business in this alone, which kind of is a whole nother conversation about Signal Scout. But this entire automation came into play because the use case is, as a marketer, is my screen sharing yet?
It is now, yep.
If I'm on LinkedIn, and we're going to use me as an example for the testing, but if I'm on LinkedIn and I'm looking at a post from an influencer or from an industry leader or a CEO or whatever that is, and I look at this post, this one is from me, it's me sharing some interesting analysis on the CEO of ZoomInfo, and it got a ton of engagement. So the use case is, as a marketer, as a salesperson, as an entrepreneur, whatever that kind of role is, I want to know everyone who engaged with this. If they're engaging with this post, it's probably a buying signal or at least an interest signal around my industry, whatever that may be, right? If George posts something and he has 75 CEOs from startups comment on it, I want to know who all those people are. The normal kind of manual process that I would have to go through in this is to literally open this up and find all of these people one by one and then pulling them into a spreadsheet. That's what I had to do until automations and AI came into play and I realized that my life was going to get really easy. So using this as an example, what this does is I am able to, oh, wrong automation. I use Airtable for this one. It's like, this is the post. Here's the content, and I'm able to get all of the information. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this really quick. So from a post, first thing I do is I export all of my posts. I can export my post. I can export Brandon's post. I can export the CEO of Coca-Cola's post if he's on LinkedIn. Doesn't really matter. So when I run it, all it's going to do is it's going to go off. It's going to sleep for a second because it's running in the background to collect how big of the bucket of information is. And then it's going to pull the data and it's going to start dumping it into here. And what we should start seeing shortly is all of this starting to bubble up for all of the content that I've shared in the last, I guess, like 2 weeks or so. Let's see, what is that? All right, it's going. There we go. It's running. So I am sorting by last modified. It's already there. So here are all the posts. See if it's still running. All right. And so then, using myself as an example, but again, imagine who your target buyer is that's active on LinkedIn. And then I'm pulling in all this information. And I said, okay, well, here's a post. Let me find the ones with the most engagement. All right, well, this one. This is a post I made about Morgan Ingram. Good guy. Actually, huge fan of Morgan. And I can say, I want to enrich this entire post. So what it's going to do is it's going to look at this post. Let me open it up for you so you can see what it's going to do. So here's the post. 49 likes, 2 comments, 1 repost. But here's the post, and here's all the people who engaged for that. Now, regardless who it is, I want to know who all these people are because I might want to reach out to them, put them into a cadence, whatever it may be. I have it, I add it to enrich. And so now since I've pulled all the posts, now I want to enrich all of those names. And that's what this automation does. This automation is going to look at Airtable and it's going to look for people who have the enriched status on their name. And then it's going to run through and it's going to start collecting all the information it possibly can on that person and then dumping it back into Airtable. So as I run it, it's going to go. It's always a sleeping function because there's an element of data collection that's happening in the background with the system. But as that's running, it's going to go through, it's going to then structure the data, and then it's going to segment it, and it's going to start adding it into the spreadsheet. And what we should start seeing when we go back here is we will see the contacts populating for all of those posts in this other table. And then I have their LinkedIn profile, I have their role, their title. We're seeing Alan just popped in. His LinkedIn profile, I can get whatever related post it was related to. So if I'm like, oh, who was Alan? What did he engage with? I can actually see the post. I can see what his post was. If he commented, you can see the comments that people are leaving. So basically, I start collecting all of this. Oh, look, there's good old George. And it's going to start collecting all of this information, and then I can segment it, filter it, do whatever I want. Because, like, for example, I'm focused in the United States, so maybe I want to segment out or filter out anyone from Russia, Middle East, whatever it may be. Like, I just want to focus on US contacts. But it's getting the country code, so I could filter this out. So I could basically build a filter so I'm only seeing people that are in the US. Skills associated with that individual, their summary, and then a live link to the actual post itself. And so as it's pulling all of this, I'm getting birthdays, I can start putting these people into a cadence. And so what I end up doing from here, once I have their information, is I can take this LinkedIn profile, I can then enrich that LinkedIn profile and get their email address, other information that I may need from them, and then throw them into an email cadence on, Instantly or Clay or whatever it may be, because now I just have their information. But that's what this automation does, is it goes and it exports all of the posts from an individual. You can then filter it based on which ones have the highest engagement. And then based off of that, you enrich that, and it's just going to run through, and it's going to start updating Airtable with all of the contacts for anybody that was engaging with that content. This is what kind of spurred as I was driving, doing this for companies, trying to figure out who their ICPs were that were engaging with their CEO's content. So the CEO is posting stuff and he's getting 50 likes and 100 comments, and they're like, well, who are these people? And they're trying to do it manually. So I was like, let's build a system that just sucks it all in, and then we can take all the raw data and just segment it out. And what most of these companies found, which I wasn't really surprised by, but it's kind of shocking still, is that like between 50 to 70% of the people engaging on your LinkedIn posts are not in your database. You get a lot of employees, you have a couple of people that you are already known, but a lot of the people that are following your company page are not in your CRM. And so finding ways to engage with them by, oh, they're engaging with my post. Now let me add them into a cadence of, hey, I saw you like this post. Here's another post you might be interested in. You can actually drive further engagement through the platform just by leveraging tools like this. You can add AI on background that then analyzes this and gives you like this dossier that Brandon was explaining to earlier that he was getting through Clay. But what this does is it allows me to basically filter very quickly. What I can also tell is, okay, well, who are the influencers? Who are the influencers that are engaging with this content? So I can filter this out and say, well, George's got a bunch of followers. This one has a lot of followers. 5,000. That's a good number. 35,000. Like these become signals for me as a marketer or whatever it is. Like here's people that I want to start engaging with, so that I can maybe get into their streams. So maybe they start liking and commenting on my stuff even more, because as we know, the algorithm, the more they like the comment, then it just kind of goes out to their network. That's actually the one greatest benefit of LinkedIn across all the social networks, regardless of like, how the feed or the algorithm works, is LinkedIn has always been really true to the fact of, if I see something and I like it or comment it, my network will now have a propensity to see that. And it's not just kind of a gamble on it. But
Awesome.
This process is what really led into building Signal Scout, which was, how do I take that data of who these people are and then analyze all of the content that they're sharing, so that I can have an informed decision on, is this person worth my time? How do I reach out to them? What do they talk about? And how does that, how can I then influence into those conversations? But that all really started because I started pulling these things through Airtable.
Awesome. Maybe you can tell folks where I was gonna ask you. We gotta promote Signal Scout here quickly. Maybe let folks know where they can check it out. So this is Koka's new tool.
Signal.kokasexton.com. If you go to kokasexton.com, there's a link for it.
Awesome. So Robert, what's up, Robert? Yeah, good to see you. Yeah,
Robert.
good to see you.
Yeah. So for example, let's look at this is still a work in progress. Again, super nerdy, but not very nerdy. I'm not an engineer, but I built an app. So I built this with the intent of individual profiles, but there's obviously, I'm able to get company information in here as well. And so if I look at insights or influenced, actually, this is going to be a good one. Let's try Cindia. So I can pull all the posts, who's engaging with those posts, and then who's engaging with those posts. So here's the individuals who are engaging with all of this company's content online. And then I can just export this as a CSV and then run a campaign through this, right? So I basically took my automations, which work really well off one-offs, small business, whatever it is. And I was like, I need to build an app around this so that somebody can actually just log in themselves and do it, as opposed to having to hire me and coming in and doing it.
First of all, it looks amazing. Thanks for the kind words, Robert. Good to see you. Indeed, Brandon and Koka are legends. And I just wanted to say that this is one of the benefits, I think, of the upside. Everyone's been trying to figure out AI and the impact on jobs and all sorts of stuff, right? But this is I think, a prime example of one of the huge benefits of being able to have an expert that's focused on sales and marketing now go in and be able to build a product that's specifically catering to the real life workflows that he has mastered in the real world and now has been able to productize. And that was just something that in the past was very, very difficult to do. You'd have to
It was impossible.
It was
I would
impossible.
not
Yeah.
be able to even consider doing something like this a year ago.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is like, why is it impossible? Like, you know, being able to build something like this would require going and finding an engineer or hiring people. Let's just say, right? You have to hire. Yeah, sure, you could hire a software engineer, right? But even that, like, it's just different when you can paint the picture yourself than having to hire someone to paint the picture or you know,
Exactly.
painting or whatever, sculpting. You know, I love art. You can see some of my art back there.
There you go.
It's different, right? Like being able to say, hey, you know, this is what it should be, you know what I mean? And then having to like basically, you know, manifest it through third parties. Now you can actually do it. So one of the upsides just to keep in mind there for folks.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
The future of all of this is that marketers are going to start becoming a lot more technical. This whole go-to-market engineering kind of movement, I think, is spurring a whole nother set of roles where you're going to have traditional marketers that can write a good email, but you're going to need somebody who can take those good ideas and good things and scale them out to be thousands. You know, you're no longer going to have a landing page for your, you know, your ebook. Like, oh, download my 10 ways of doing whatever. No, I'm going to be building apps so that people are coming into my experience and using something of value that's so lightweight, but it's better than an ebook. Like you're actually getting something out of it at a very low lift. And that becomes the lead gen mechanism moving forward.
Amazing, which was also very difficult for us marketers to pry away engineering talent.
Yeah, because you need engineering resources to do all of those things, and web dev and all this. Like it was a long process, and now you can do it in a weekend.
Amazing. Koka, Brandon, thank you so much to the folks out there who tuned in. Really appreciate it. Go ahead and comment, like, share this with your colleagues or friends or family if grandma likes this information as well. Please share it with grandma. Really appreciate it. We are going to continue to share insights and expertise moving forward that will help uplift all of us and up-level our skill sets so we can really be able to perform at a high level in this AI-centric world, which is largely about efficiency and innovation, right? So if you do like this comment, go ahead and let us know. I should say, if you'd like this content, go ahead and share again with your friends and family, and go ahead and follow Brandon. Go ahead and follow Koka. Again, you're going to learn every day. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.